What was the very first psychological trick you learned that blew your mind? If you ask someone to move over to an arbitrary different location to talk, could be 5 feet away, they are much more likely to listen to you and follow instructions. One of my tricks as an elementary school teacher. Police and customs officers use this on me all the damn time. Would you like to come talk to me over here? When walking through a crowd, don't look at the people in front of you. Instead look past them where you are trying to go, and most people will make room without noticing it. I taught teenagers in a really tough London school. A colleague taught me a brilliant trick to get a kid to calm down when they were angry. Look them calmly in the eye and say, "What do you want to happen next?" Most of the time they were so caught up in emotion they hadn't thought about the consequences of thidkery. As soon as you prod them to think about consequences, most of them would calm down straight away. My first workplace trick that I still use regularly: people will procrastinate with their own work, but drop everything to quickly correct someone else's work. Example: Bill needs to provide a paragraph of text to go in your company's brochure. He's been dragging his feet forever, and it's the last thing you're waiting on, but he keeps putting it off. Go to where his paragraph should be and write a shitty version of what he's supposed to do. Don't invest more than 10 seconds. We do widget services. We are good at it. Our services are good for your widget needs. Send it to Bill saying, "Hey, I filled in the last paragraph about widget services, can you check and make sure it meets your criteria?" And I'll send it along to the boss for approval. You'll have Bill's polished, fully composed text in about 10 minutes. This is very true and super annoying to receive, lol. Working as a waitress. If I noticed a customer was getting particularly impatient and it looked like they were going to be rude to me when I went over, when I would take the food over, and before they got the chance to speak, I'd say something like, "So sorry for the wait. Thanks for being so lovely about it." It seemed to catch them off guard and paint them as a nice guy in my eyes, and more often than not their expression would change from pissed off to surprised. Then they'd say something like, "Oh, no problem, it's okay," so they could keep being the nice guy and feel good about themselves, and I avoid chewing out. I was trained to never apologize for something you can thank them for. "Thanks for waiting. I appreciate your patience. Thank you for clarifying," etc. It keeps the conversation positive and doesn't undermine their confidence in you. When you need something from someone, ask them for help with it. Rather than, "Hey, can you do this for me?" say, "Hey, can you help me with this?" People are more inclined to be helpful than to just take on the task for you. Also, related fun fact, people like you better after they do you a favor. I'm not certain about the psychology of it, but it's something along the lines of your brain deciding, "I did this favor because I like this person," whether it's true or not. Obviously this implodes beyond a certain point. Stop talking. If you want to get more information out of someone, just let them speak. There are times in a conversation that things stop. Most people want to fill this themselves, but don't let the other person do it. This is especially useful if you think the person and their story is full of shit. As a former salesperson, I actually started using this technique in both selling and buying situations. You'd be shocked how many people will sit and talk themselves into buying something. Or on the flip side, how many salespeople will start negotiating with themselves if you just stay quiet. I got a pretty good deal on my last car without saying a word. I don't remember the specifics, but if there's a tense situation between you and another person, eat something. Seeing you eat, something that people animals only do when they are relaxed and feeling unthreatened, will essentially mentally cue yourself and the other person to relax a little more. Don't know how true it is, but it makes sense. People are more likely to believe something you tell them if it's self-depreciating. You can make up some sort of lie, but if you add something negative about yourself in it, it sounds more believable. Oddly enough, this is what makes good writing. People are flawed. A character you dislike, but is dynamic, is a more enjoyable character than a pleasant one who rarely makes mistakes. Minimizing. If you feel like something is a really big chore or you just can't get yourself to get up and go do something, minimize it to a small insignificant part. Instead of doing all the garden work, Say you're just going to take the tools out so when you want to work you can. 90% of the time once you're up and doing the small thing, the big bad chore doesn't seem so bad now and you end up doing it. At a garage sale my father wanted 5 for a desk. It sat all day. Eventually he wrote 10 and 20 above the 5 and crossed them out making it look like he dropped the price twice. It was gone in under 30 minutes. This happens in businesses all the time. They legit slap the sale sign on. And bam. Customers. For example at shirt 415. No one buys it. Sam at shirt 420 but has a 25% off sale. Everyone buys it. I find that when I ask someone if they'd like to be a rewards member, they're more civil with me if I say, would you like to be a rewards member or no? I figure that by saying no at the end I'm insinuating that is completely fine to say no I don't want to be. I use this on everyone. I've had customers that I see get short with other cashiers when they ask them this. I then ask them my way whenever I'm cashiering and they're completely civil about it. I almost always get from these same people, no thanks not today. I guess some people view this questions as nuisance because in their mind they feel like they are asked this every time at a lot of stores. You can give a person talking on their phone an object and they will most likely take it because they are focused on the call. I regularly hand people empty plates. Most of the time they just keep talking and don't notice what I'm doing. Not even just on the phone. Anytime you are talking with someone face to face you can hand them anything and they'll take it without deciding whether or not they want to. I do this all the time with trash just to mess with my friends and so. If you want to be involved in any work environment or feel like an insider during work, you gotta greet everyone you meet right away. If you missed them, turn around, go back, and say something like sorry, I didn't catch your name. I am. If you don't have time, then take the next chance. Even if it's just a hi or a wave people will see you as assertive and approachable. It doesn't really matter if you're introverted and don't speak to them for the rest of the day or whatever. It kills most of the awkwardness associated with being social with people you may or may not know. Plus, it sets you up for healthy teamwork. Appreciate the love. Y'all are awesome. Whenever my toddler refuses to do something, I start doing it. Then they get all angry cause they wanna do it. Idiots. Wow. So many great comments. And thanks for the gold kind stranger. 2 now silver. I'm glad so many of us agree that kids are idiots. I tell mine that I'm giving her a choice between 2 things. The catch is that both of the choices are things that I want to have happen. Example toddler won't nap. I say, would you like to have some juice and then take your nap? Or would you like to take a nap without any juice? Those are obviously the same 2 things. But one has juice, and suddenly the nap becomes more appealing. Another helpful one is to move the goalposts. Instead of it's time for a nap you can try I'll only read 3 Little Pigs for nap time today and let them argue about wanting Red Riding Hood, while nap time then becomes a given. It's a lifesaver getting out the door in the morning. Kid is throwing a tantrum about not wanting to wear the outfit you chose so instead of discussing the outfit, you talk about what cereal you have for breakfast and their little contrary brain shifts the tantrum to breakfast choices and forgets they were meant to be arguing about their outfit. It's time for breakfast and you can start talking about which jacket to wear and erect the toddler tantrum onto that. Eventually their little brain gets distracted and forgets they are meant to be disagreeing with everything you suggest. Kid demanding something at the store. Ask who will be the one to select pasta off the shelf. Who will unload the cart on the conveyor belt? Who will unlock the car? And so forth, just shifting everything up a step. Don't judge, but this technique seriously saved my sanity. Smile as soon as you first see people you want to like you as you greet them. Like, hey buddy, how you doing? And look genuinely happy to see them. Don't matter whether it's girls, guys, young, old. It'll make them excited to see you. Like every time I don't get it, but there's psychology to it and it actually changed my life. Whatever you're scared of doing is only going to last 2 seconds. Then you'll blink and it will be months later and you'll wonder why you were even worried. I figured this out in 8th grade before a presentation I was terrified of giving. And I think of that moment every time I'm nervous to do something, and now I'm 28. Time flies. No point of worrying about it. Wait. Help. I had this experience and accidentally became a teacher. The presentations just keep coming. Don't know what to say, but want to keep the conversation going. Repeat the last phrase of the last thing the person said as a question. For example, as a question. Yes. As a question. Raise your voice, so it's clear that you want them to go on. Go on. Yeah. Sometimes you want a conversation to keep going, but you don't have anything specific to add. It puts the onus on the speaker to continue the conversation. It's a nice social hack that works in most languages. By walking with your head and eyes forward, like you're deliberately going somewhere, people will move out of your way. I first tried this in a crowded mall when I was 14 and was blown away. I felt so powerful at 14, lol. Holding something warm creates positive feelings towards someone you just met, and something cold creates negative feelings. Always meet someone at a coffee shop and hope they don't order iced coffee. Humans have a tendency to take or give things if you put your hand out while talking to them. Really common in sales or just messing with friends. In sales, I often hand the person the item I'm selling, and most often they take it without even realizing it. More likely to buy it too. I've chatted with a friend and put my hand out, and he just gave me his phone. 5 minutes later he's wondering where his phone is. Kill him with kindness. Woo lad, nothing eats away at your enemies like that. Short, sweet, simple, and confident does the trick. You could get into a massive argument for hours. Fight, cuss, spit, punch, kick. Nothing will really burn them at the core quite as much as being nice to them. I believe it is a psychological trick, because they usually don't expect it. They know you're enemies, and it throws them into a loop and off guard. I bumped into my old boss recently. He had absolutely royally screwed me over before I quit. Stabbed me square in the back to protect his own hide. I gave him this huge smile. Said, "Hey name. Good to see you." He gave a weird frown and returned, "Hi. How have you been?" "Better than ever. How about you?" Fine." He made an obvious effort to keep walking and avoid a conversation. I bumped into him again before I left the place we were at and gave him a nod. Nice smile. And the 3-finger wave, sort of like a salute. His face said it all. I hate that guy. Why is he happy? Note: I want to clarify that this isn't effective in all scenarios, and going out of your way to rub false kindness into someone's face negates it altogether. A therapist told me that anger is a secondary emotion and should be treated like a traffic light. You should stop at yellow before jumping to red. Ask yourself, what was the first thing come to your mind triggered you? Is it being ignored, feeling trapped, unheard, insecure, etc.? Because your first thought is what you actually feel. Your anger comes last. I'm a calm-natured person, rarely get angry. This advice helped me to identify my weaknesses and anxiety. You can apply this to any emotion, not just anger. Edit: my first award. Thank you. Visualizing yourself doing something properly can be better than actually practicing the thing. There was a study conducted on a basketball team. Group A practiced shooting free throws. Group B visualized themselves shooting free throws. Group C visualized for half the time, then shot for half the time. Group C improved the most. Then Group B. Group A was last. Edit link. The book Never Split the Difference is full of great psychological techniques. One of my favorites is the email simply asking, "Have you given up on this?" When someone stops responding to you, typically in a sales scenario, but applicable elsewhere. This simple email practically guarantees a response. If a toddler does something to get your attention, do the same. Once my nephew dropped on the floor and started having a tantrum by shouting and kicking. I did the same. He looked at me shocked and confused, got up and walked away, lol. When you play rock, paper, scissors, ask your opponent something that really confuses them. Then continue on. There's a super high chance they'll pick scissors. I've used it on my literal twin, and it still works. That's how you know it works. My brother falls for this for years, and eventually I told him what I was doing. He still fell for it next few times, but eventually caught on. Now I play scissors first because if he forgot we tie, and if he remembers then he loses by playing paper expecting me to play rock. Paying someone a compliment before a difficult conversation or fight, specifically one tied to the value in your opinion of them. For example, I really appreciate the mature, level-headed way you handled yourself in our last discussion, or your patience and understanding in situations like this is something I really admire about you. It's the upgraded, more subtle version of the thank you for your understanding line you see in customer service a lot. The I and me pronouns are important, as it changes a generic compliment into an opinion or feeling you have about them. It sets a subconscious goal for the person that they will often try to live up to. It's like the subconscious goes, why yes, I'm those things. Let me prove that you're right. But also adds a little weight that your opinion of them will decrease if they don't. Sometimes I feel bad for using it because it's almost too manipulative, especially if I'm lying about that opinion.